Not every fashion trend deserves its moment in the sunshine this summer, and today I'm sharing the trends that I definitely believe we all need to avoid. Hi, I'm Leonie and welcome to my channel. Now today I'm sharing the biggest fashion fails for summer 2025. What to skip, why they don't work, and hopefully this video will save you a whole lot of angst, not to mention a whole lot of money too. And a small portion of today's episode is sponsored by my favorite website builder and host, Squarespace, but I'll tell you a little bit more about them and share a very cool discount code with you shortly. Now, the first trend on my list, and one that's possibly going to be the most contentious, is the color yellow. Now, hear me out. The color yellow, in fact, it's a sort of a beautiful buttery yellow that's very much trending for summer this year. Now, the reason I've got it on this list is because yellow is I was going to say it's a difficult color to style. It is a difficult color, but it's probably the trickiest color to wear for most people. Now, I'm not saying that it doesn't work for anyone. In fact, a beautiful buttery yellow can look absolutely gorgeous, but it does depend on your skin tone. So getting the right shade of yellow is the tricky part here, and that's why I've added it to this list. Now, I'm not saying don't wear it if you generally wear yellow and you wear it well. I am just saying it's a very tricky trend to try, especially if you're new to wearing this color. And a great way of dipping your toe into this trend, if it is something that you really want to try, then I'd suggest looking at, say, accessories as sort of a gateway into wearing yellow, and especially wearing yellow away from your face so it doesn't sort of wash you out. But the easiest ways to wear yellow is to pair them back with denim. Yellow and denim always works really well, and there are some other lovely yellow color combinations that I recently featured in a short, but all I'm saying here is proceed with caution. It is one of, if not the most trickiest color to master. Now this summer, one of the biggest trends is interesting cutouts with tops and dresses. Now, it's not a new trend. We've seen this before. In fact, it was very much happening last summer. And in particular, we saw a lot of dresses with waist cutouts. Now, again, this is a trend that can look really good, but it's very figure and body dependent. And what I mean by this quite simply is that if the cutout is in the wrong area, it can kind of highlight a part of your body or create an unusual and often unflattering shape. Now, I experienced this recently. I tried on a fitted top. I wanted to look for a layering piece. It had cutout details here, and while I thought that it was going to work, all it did was kind of showed off the most sort of bony, angular parts of my body, and it just didn't create a flattering style for me. So what I would say with these cutouts is just be very careful in terms of where these cutouts actually fall. It's surprising how difficult they can be to actually style. The other key thing and the other reason that they're on this list is because it's very difficult to wear a bra with some of these cutout tops. And essentially, I know a lot of you really struggle with strapless bras and finding a good one, especially if you have a fuller bust. So just beware of where these cutouts fall, and they're not as easy to wear as they perhaps first appear. Now, one of the key trends for summer is boho, and don't get me wrong, I'm very much here for it, but there are some boho ruffle dresses and pieces that are just, in my opinion, too over the top. And what they do is they run the risk of making you look just a little bit too casual and unkept. Now, Chloe started this trend and they sent models down the runway looking absolutely gorgeous in beautiful boho-inspired ruffled dresses and pieces. Now, they look great, but what happens in the real world is when they translate into everyday high street designers, so more affordable designers, they become a little less sophisticated and just a little bit more cheap looking. And I do tend to think that this kind of very over-the-top boho ruffle style can skew a little bit cheap. So unless you're opting for a Chloe original or a design that's perhaps a little bit more pared back, I would say steer clear of these overly bohemian styled ruffled pieces. There are plenty of really beautiful dress trends happening for summer, which is always the case. And in fact, I am going to put together a dress video where I wanted to just share some of the most outstanding and wearable dress trends for summer. But today I just wanted to highlight shift dresses. Now, they're very much having a moment this year. I don't know why I'm getting tongue-tied. But I do think shift dresses tend to be just a little bit uptight for summer, and they're not as wearable as you would imagine. They also tend to look a little bit sort of corporate-y and more like office wear. So I often think when it comes to these certainly shorter shift dresses, you do need to really think long and hard about your styling just to make them look a little bit more smart casual. They're very sort of uptight and not as kind of airy and fresh and easy to wear as I believe a dress should be in summer. And at this point, I'd just like to take a moment to thank the sponsor of today's episode, and that is Squarespace. And if you haven't heard of Squarespace before, I really don't know where you've been, but they are my favorite online website builder and host. I've used them for many years now to host not only my website, but to build and host websites for clients. Squarespace also recently introduced a cool new AI feature called Design Intelligence. Now, this new feature makes it even easier for anyone to build a stunning personalized website that does everything you need it to do, including creating an online store to sell physical or digital products. And the great thing is it doesn't require any tech skills. If I can do it, trust me, you can too. So if you are looking to get yourself online this year and you haven't tried Squarespace before, what I suggest you do is simply whip on over to squarespace.com, take advantage of their free trial, and when you're ready to push play, simply use my unique URL, which is squarespace.com/The Style Insider, and my code, which is The Style Insider, and that will save you 10% off your first website or domain. So as I said, Squarespace is my favorite go-to host and website builder. And if you are planning to get yourself online, or if you know anyone that needs to get online this year, then Squarespace is definitely the easiest and most effective way to do it. I will leave a link to Squarespace in the description box below. But now let's get on with these trends to avoid. Now, I've talked in a few recent videos about flip-flops being a footwear favorite this summer, and I'm all here for it. I think a great pair of flip-flops can be worn with absolutely anything and still look on point, especially some of the styles that are leather and just very streamlined and minimalist looking. If you are looking for a particular shoe for summer that is going to go with anything, a flip-flop or certainly a leather flip-flop will do exactly that. But what I am saying today is be very careful of some of the kitten-heeled flip-flops. And for the reason that they do tend to be a little bit trickier to wear when the summer really hits. So if you tend to get sort of hot feet, what does tend to happen in these particular styles is that your foot sort of slips down the front of them, and I do think some of these heeled flip-flops become a little bit tricky to wear. So I would stick with a flat style, something very simple and minimal, instead of these kitten heels, because they are trickier to style than you would think. Now, if you've been watching me here for a while, you'll know that I'm a huge fan of beautiful satin or silk maxi skirts or midi skirts as well. I just love how they flow, and for me, they're just an easy piece to dress up and wear more casually. But what is happening this summer is that they are being replaced by satin and silk pants. Now, in theory, this should be a really good look, but I do think this fabric doesn't wear particularly well, especially when you sit down and you stand up again, and the pants just don't look as good as they could or should. So I would steer clear of wearing pants, or certainly loose flowy pants in these satiny silk fabrics. There are linens, there are other summery options that definitely just wear a little bit better than the satins and silk fabrics. So again, it's just about looking at the fabric composition before you dive into a new trend. And if it was me, I would definitely be wearing, and I will be, sticking with the satin and silk skirts as opposed to the pants. They're just not going to hold up. Now, animal print is a classic. We all know that, and I come under fire if I talk about a particular animal print style not being in fashion as such. But there is a move right now for leopard skin and your classic animal prints to sort of move aside. And what's replacing them at the moment is zebra and snakeskin. Now, I'm sure if you like any animal print, you will just disregard this. But if you really want to be on trend and look as fashion forward as possible, then the two animal prints that are very much happening this summer are snakeskin and zebra, or as we say in New Zealand, zebra. I'm sure that sounds very strange for a lot of you, but just your classic leopard skin animal print is probably just having a little bit of a rest for now. It's been huge up until this point, but certainly in summer, just opt for something a little bit different. But again, as I said, if you are an animal print fan, you're going to do what you want, regardless of what I say. What I have noticed over the last couple of years, and I'm sure this is related to price point, but polyester pieces are very much creeping in more and more. And I definitely think that over summer, the last thing you want is to be feeling as though you're wrapped in plastic, the heat is happening, and polyester just doesn't breathe. So be really careful about some of the fabric compositions that you see on pieces that you may fall in love with online. And yes, a lot of them look great, and especially they look great online. But when it comes to actually wearing some of these pieces, especially when it's really hot, it's just not a comfortable option. So what I'm saying now is be very careful about these polyester pieces, and maybe just take a little bit of extra time to look at some of the fabric composition of pieces before you buy them. Now, last but not least, I think we need to proceed with caution when it comes to excessive accessorization. Now, it seems we had that phase of kind of quiet luxury, very pared back minimalist dressing, and we've been sort of creeping in the opposite direction. Now, don't get me wrong, accessories are great and they're playful and they're fun and they add interest to an outfit, but I do think we just have to be careful not to go to extremes. So bag charms are still a happening thing this year, and they've almost moved into belt charms as well. And there's also a lot of embellishment on a number of our pieces. I've recently picked up an embellished denim jacket, which I will show you guys in a future video, but there is a lot of embellishment and a lot of details happening. And all I'm saying is a little bit goes a very long way when it comes to some of these extra accessories. Anyway, that's it from me today. I do hope you enjoyed this one, and if you did, I'd love you to give it a big thumbs up. Really does mean the world to me for you to interact with my videos and leave comments. I love the chats that we have in the comments below. So if something has ground your gears in today's episode, or if you've found something that particularly resonated with you, or even if there's a trend that you've seen happening for summer and you're not going to wear it, please share it in the comments below so we can chat. But thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to give this one a thumbs up, and I will see you real soon. Bye for now.